walking by yourself. You cannot go AFK in this game. If you're not in town, don't go AFK. We're gonna be moving on to a game that we've been playing since beta. We had a ton of fun. And you know what's crazy? A lot of things changed since beta on both ends. You stayed pretty much the same, pretty much, but there has been some changes. But the game we're talking about is Diablo 4. Man, fun in beta, even fun experiencing the full game now. And a lot of things have changed. But we're gonna give our full review. We're going to give a breakdown on what we think about this game. Let's talk about gameplay. Before we get into our own personal stuff and certain changes, let's talk about gameplay. And before you talk, let me add on something. I'm not a top-down. I am now. I am now. I can fully say I am one now. I'm back in there. I haven't had this much fun since Baldur's Gate on PlayStation. But
I think V Rising prepped you for this. I think getting into V
Rising did it.
I think you like this a little bit more ever since you got into the flow of V Rising. I think had you gotten into this, it probably would have jarred you a little bit. But I think that coming off of that, helped prep you for this.
I would agree with that assessment. So now we're gonna talk about gameplay. I'm gonna let you go first. Gameplay. What do you think about the gameplay? Like, what catches you about how this game play? If somebody else that was on the outside looking in and seeing like, I may want to try out Diablo 4. What would you tell them about the gameplay?
I tell them that the gameplay is actually really, really good. I wasn't expecting to like this game as much as I like it, like I told you earlier. And what it was is that it's just the whole gameplay loop. It's very satisfying. The action is quick. You're quick to get into action. There's loot around every corner. There's rewards around every corner. You're rewarded for everything you do. Even with exploration, you're rewarded for it by way of skill points. You get additional skill points just for exploring and doing side quests and finding the statues. And then those skill points actually carry on to your secondary characters. So it's fantastic. It's just very rewarding, and it's fast paced. It's a lot of mobs coming at you. You can kill a lot of mobs right off the back if you have the proper build. And it's just non-stop. Like it's boom dungeon, boom open world. Oh no, there's a world boss here. Oh look, there's a public event. Let's do that. Oh, let's go here. This area of the map seems like it's foggy. What's over here? Oh, there's a little statue. Let's pick it up. Oh, what's this? And it's like everywhere you go, there's something to do. Like I haven't found any boring spots in this game. And where God knows how many hours we're into this game, even if you include the beta, right? I'm at 50 on the Necromancer. You're at 50 almost on 2 characters, and it just seems like the gameplay loop is so satisfying. And I can tell you this, on the Necromancer, I only use like 2 moves on the Necromancer, so it's not like I have a full fleshed out combo based build. I call it boom and what I call it
bone and boom.
Bone and boom, what you said. You had a fantastic joke against, but bone and boom is what I call it, right? So I throw out the bone spear and then I blow up the corpses. So that's all I do all day, but it's just so satisfying because the enemies that come in, the positions that I need to take, I need to dodge out of things, I need to get out of poison, I need to make sure that I'm back a little bit because I have something where the more distance I am, the more damage I do. And so it's just, the gameplay loop is just so satisfying. It's like you go, you defeat mobs, you look at your loot, you defeat mobs, you look at your loot, but it's just like it's so fast-paced action. There's so much happening on the screen, but not too much happening on the screen where you get confused, and it's just gratifying.
Just to piggyback on that, I like how that whole that rinse and repeat cycle happens, because it's like you would think you would get bored of that. Like you would think that would be boring. Like, why would I want to go over here and do this and go to this dungeon and come out? It's the rewards of the loot system, you know what I'm saying? Just having loot and trying to make your character or gear wise better and better, and just getting great things. And you get rewarded, like you said, just doing stuff, just walking around. You see a tree, you punch the tree, and gold fall out of the tree. I know it's 100 gold in this tree. Who put this in? You know what I'm saying? Like the gameplay, the overall, like, and again, you said fast paced. Just to piggyback on that again, fast paced gameplay. You get into a dungeon or you outside. A whole bunch of mobs come at you, so you feel powerful when you like take a whole herd of them out, and it almost has that Dynasty Warriors kind of thing, But hold on, most plays like Dynasty Warriors when all the mobs are coming at you and you have to mow them down. So the gameplay is definitely on point. Anybody, if you like Baldur's Gate or if you like Lost Ark, games like that, V Rising, this game is definitely up there as far as combat is concerned. Very good, very satisfying.
Very sad.
That's the word I want to use, satisfying when it comes
Yeah.
to gameplay. So graphics, the visuals, how does this look to you?
Visuals are phenomenal. I was afraid going into this game because they released Diablo Immortal. I thought that maybe we would have to pay for all of the good loot, but the in-game armor look, especially for the Necromancer, looks fantastic. You and I, we bounce pictures back and forth in Discord. Like, look at this, look at this. Like, it just looks visually pleasing, and I think also the atmosphere is what adds to, because you mentioned that the gameplay loop seems like it's simplistic because it's in one dungeon, out into the other dungeon. And I think part of that, the reason why it's still so fun with that type of gameplay loop is that each atmosphere looks different. It's gritty. It's gothic. It's that grungy style. But one dungeon may not look like the other dungeon. It may have similar color palettes, but like everything is different. There's stairs in one dungeon. There's things falling. This dungeon may be in a swamp. This area is snow. And I just think that the overall look in the game, the graphics of it is far better than I thought that you can achieve with an isometrical camera.
Mm. When it comes down to graphics, for me, it's definitely how the characters look like. Especially when you get a new piece of equipment, and the fact that you can change the color, the style of it, and it's like you can't wait for the next piece, to try to deck your character out to make them look as dope as possible. The monsters, and I heard that this game visually compared to Diablo 3 is like day and night. I heard something where they said Diablo 3, the graphics like had fell off, like
yeah,
it just
so
visually
Diablo,
wasn't aesthetically pleasing to certain people who are longtime fans of the Diablo franchise.
yeah, because what they did is they tried to brighten the color palette a little bit, so it looks a little less gritty, a little less doom and gloom. But they brought that back with this, like the
Oh,
whole world.
this full on doom is around every corner. You be walking by yourself. You cannot go AFK in this game. If you're not in
No,
town, don't go AFK.
yeah,
Okay, don't do it. Okay, do not do it to yourself. Do not do it to yourself. So visually with the graphics, stunning, very good, very well done. I like what I see so far with each character, whether it be sorcerer, rogue, necromancer, barbarian. Every time I see somebody with something, they just look awesome. They look amazing. The monsters that you fight are definitely different. Definitely, fits the realm of what you're in. Because it is a world that's basically all kind of, it's just doom. It's just a whole bunch of doom on it, and you got to survive somehow. So definitely visually state they whatever they were going for as far as that doom and gloom and the hell look and all that, they achieved it. So hats off to them on making this game kind of definitely
looks like
looking
outside.
around that corner. you know So classes, I just brought up Barbarian, Sorcerer, Necromancer, Rogue, and Druid. And I think there's gonna be the sixth character. There's always that power, that sixth ranger that they're gonna come out with, and probably a seventh maybe later on. But for now, we have 5 classes. Out of those 5 classes, tell me, what do you think about all 5? Like if you had to go a rundown on all 5 classes, what would you say?
Well, it's interesting because earlier you said that I pretty much stayed true to what I wanted before beta and during beta and now, and that's part the case. Remember, most of the beta I played the blood build, and I like the whole bloodline tree because of survivability. But then I was like, you know what, I've never messed with the bones too much, so let me do a bone build, and man, I'm just melting everything before they even get to me. So
Mm.
I'm not. So like we have a couple other people that are on our Discord that are having trouble as necromancer, and I think,
It's not our Discord, not
oh yeah,
not
yeah,
the
well,
multi-tap Discord, not yet.
right, right. But that we have a couple of people that are that were a part of their Discord, and they're having trouble when it comes to like end game material with the necromancer, saying that it possibly falls off compared to the other classes. And I'm not suffering that because I'm not the blood build. I don't have that blood build. I don't have the shadow build. I'm doing basically bone, and I'm still melting everything as if I was level 1. Like I'm just running through everything, and I'm running through, and I'm throwing my spear, and I'm blowing up. I'm having the time of my life, and I'm not having any issues. I'm not having any slowdown. So that was one change that came from the build. I did recently start a Sork though, and that Sork is OP. And I use it like I don't use the traditional fire build that everybody's using level. I'm using Frost. You know me. I always have to use that off build that nobody likes. I was the survival hunter in WoW before that was a thing. I always like the off builds, and man, am I running through things on that Frost build? It's like a machine gun. I got to show it to you because you're gonna be like, that's wild the way it's working.
Well, let me point this out, or add on rather. The game is new, so you got
Yeah,
a lot of people doing a lot of cookie cutter stuff. They'll see what the streamers were doing and take their builds. When this game allows you to, customize your character as far as his skills, in the progression the way you want it. So you have a lot of cookie cutter builds out there. You say, I'm gonna use this and I'm gonna use that, and this is the fastest way to do this X, Y, and Z. Like you said, the Necromancer, like everybody is mostly going the bleed route. And that's probably because maybe it is when you get to like end game, and we're not there yet, so we can't really say for sure. Who knows? They probably did try bone. But the whole point about it is that that's the uniqueness and great part of this game, where you don't have to follow the cookie cutter route. Yeah, it may take you a little longer, or you may be faster. Who knows? Nobody has really figured it out to a T. And we just got through a nerf. There was a patch. There was a whole bunch of balances that they say that they had to do and stuff like that because certain things were just OP.
Nerf for
And
you guys.
huh?
Nerf for you guys. Not for
No, hey, look.
Not for Necromancer. We
It
got buff.
was so that just meant, listen, all I'm saying is if it was a nerf, that means it was just working too well. remember, it's a cutback. So let's be honest here. It was working a little too well. Okay. So just saying. From what I heard, the reason why they did the nerf is because they didn't want it to be, just people just going into dungeons and mindlessly mowing down, even though some people play these kinds of games just for that. They live to get their characters as high as they can, go in a dungeon and just wreck everything. But I think from what I understand, this is not an MMO, but it kind of plays like one. So it's like they're trying to cater to have that group play, that group aspects of having more than one person. Because if you just go in and it's no challenge, I just mow through everything, you might get bored with the game unless you just like running in places and just tearing shit up. Who knows? I don't know why they did it. And if you're a fan of that, I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying this is maybe a reason why they did the nerf, because a lot of people that I know were upset at the nerf. They didn't like it. They didn't like the fact they could no longer, like Barbarians, it hit us the hardest. Couldn't go in there and just spin the win no more. You had to do and adjust your character a little bit. Which everybody should like a challenge. It shouldn't be that easy to do certain things.
Yeah.
But another class we have Sorcerer. I played for a little bit in the beta. It was definitely fun, but I felt like, to me, the reason why I didn't take it further than what I would like to take it was because I'm a guy. I love mobility. There has to be some kind of mobility, and I gotta feel safe and make sure that if something gets close to me, I want to melt it before it get to me. And I didn't feel that instant gratification with Sorcerer at the very beginning. It took a while to get there, and I'm pretty sure it's pretty powerful. And I'm saying that because I know that you're playing an alt Sorcerer, right? And so at the beginning, you probably got way further than I had gotten. But again, I just wanted to make sure that when I did it, I wanted to be as powerful as possible before they got to me, because I don't like dying. That sucks.
Yeah. So with the frost build, you actually wind up getting you get frost armor, and so I have survivability, and that's what I do. And I'll show it to you because it's wild how powerful it is. I thought Necromancer.
And what level are you on that?
I'm only 13. So I'm just starting, but it does feel. It feels more powerful than I was when I was level 13 as a Necro.
So we also have Rogue. Rogue is another class that's in this game. That was exclusively the class that I played in beta. Had nothing but fun with it. I love the damage output. Grossly crazy in two areas: damage and speed. That's show them some speed, So it was like definitely something that was straight up my alley. Loved it and would play it again. But I think I played so much of it during the beta that I was like, I'm gonna try something else. And that's when we move on to the well, hold on, let's go back to Rogue real quick. Rogue has either way of meleeing with their daggers. There's a dagger build, dagger spec, and there's also bow. So there's two ways that you can maneuver with your Rogue. You can almost make them like Legolas, or you can almost make them like a Naruto ninja. You can play it either way, but definitely a damage dealer class. But the only thing about Rogue, which kind of is a setback, is that if you get slapped, you get slapped. You feel it. They have ways of um, migrating that and getting around that. But this game requires that, you take on a ton of monsters at one time. You cannot take too many hits. And as a rogue, you want to make sure you kill everything before it gets to you. You know what I'm saying? But at later levels, that gets a little harder to do if you're not geared and have the right, points and sets where you need it to be. And that could be kind of hard. It means you're going to be doing a lot of dungeon crawling and a lot of RNG trying to get the best equipment to stay alive, because if you get slapped, you're gonna get slapped.
Yeah.
So that moves on to the class that I played, and when we started, the Barbarian. The Barbarian, oh man, just so much fun. Just it's nothing screams monstrous as a dude with 4 weapons. 2 big ass weapons on your back, and then 2 swords or a mace and a sword on the side of you. Like, he's just a weapons machine, just built for war. You spin the wind, or you can berserk, or you can sit there and use two-handed bleed builds. It's crazy. So the warrior, I'm about to call him a warrior. The Barbarian definitely is a warrior, but it is very tanky. It's probably one of the most tankiest classes in the game because of the things that you can do as far as survivability and into the builds and the health wise. But his damage output is really good, very good. It's top. It's in the top tier of damages up there. Definitely a lot of fun if you like to have the monsters in your face. You like to be in the thick of battle, which could be a good thing in certain spots, and definitely could be a hindrance in other spots, because there are times you do not want to be in a monster's face. You don't want no parts of that, because when you can't move, you can't move.
Yeah.
And it ain't nothing like being frozen like this and they just wailing on you. You know what I mean?
The Druid.
Now, I gotta say, the Barbarian I played, I got it to where I got it set to like 45, almost 47 or something like that. 45, 46, 47 around that time. Loved it. And I said, let me try something. This is when me and you was trying to catch up with one another, right? We playing the cat and mouse on the leveling process and the story. Yeah. So when I noticed I got to a certain point, I was like, let me wait for him to catch it. Let me try this build. And I tried Druid, and Druid, you can transform and shapeshift into a bear, or you could transform into, a werebear or a werewolf. And the werewolf is fast, he's speedy. The werebear is more of like a tank, but he does a lot of damage. They both do damage, big numbers, and different ways on how you play it.
I think most people go bear.
So bear, they go with the bear is like pulverized. That's one of their biggest moves. Pulverize. With the werewolf is shred. And what I did, I tried both, had fun with the pulverize. I did that at the beginning. I was loving it. But then certain times pulverize wouldn't get me through what I need to. So I went to the drawing board again, tried the werewolf. That was great too. But then it was suffering almost from what I saw. And this might be just early levels. It could be, right? That's where we at. Didn't notice that I noticed, that it was the same as the bear. It was like I'm getting to certain points, but then I'm getting shafted. And I'm like, I'm going back to my Barbarian. Then the nerf happens. And I'm like, oh man, okay. I'm gonna have to spin the win later on. So I came up with a Fury build for my Barbarian. Worked out great. But then it was a lot of work on my hands. And I said, I need something a little simpler. Something say, go back and try the Druid one more time. Just one more time with the Druid. It's something that you didn't try. And now I don't even shapeshift. I'm straight.
You're like a shaman now.
Yeah, I'm like a shaman build. I'm straight up storms. I throw rocks at people. You know what I'm saying? I call ravens down on people. I bring up poison, and all of that stacks. And and mind you, I theory crafted it for hours, and it works, bro. I melt stuff. You know, the only issue that I have is when it's on a cooldown. if you can get past some of my cooldowns, you made it. You got me. You know what I mean? But if I hit on all cylinders, especially that bold, I got like this move that's like a bold. It just pushes everybody back, and then I just start lightning as they're moving back. I just start throwing lightning at them. So here's the thing: they take more damage when they get knocked back and it's slowed. So when the boulder hits them, right, the boulder does knockback, and then at the end, the boulder slows them down. So they're doing knockback and slow. So while they're going backwards, I'm just shooting lightning at them. It's just crazy. I love it, bro. I love it. So that's my character right now. Right now, I'm the druid, you know, and Barbarian is probably a backup, but most likely the druid.
Yeah, I was surprised when you passed Barbarian. I was like, well, he must be having time of his life on the druid. And it happened so quick. You did it in like 2.5 days, I think it was. Where you just pushed that, and you caught up to me on your druid, and I'm like, what?
It's the synergy of it. It's the synergy of what I put together. It works really. I ain't look at no videos. I ain't look at no guides. I just straight up just looked at all of the trees and was like, what's the constant that each one had? Because technically, my Barbarian, and now it's going into a personal rant right here. When I did with the Barbarian, because I theory crafted that, and everything that I saw had berserk. I'm like, okay. So that's how I came with my berserk build after they did the nerf. So I said, let me apply that same thing to my druid. Now notice fortified. I'm like, okay, what else I got? Fortified, storm. Okay. So then I started crafting that. So everything synergizes. So that means I slow and immobilize and I knock back, I storm and I stun. So it's like getting to me is hard. You could get to me, but you're gonna pay the price. And then because by the time you try to come to me and I just hold my hand out like this is storm coming down, it's crazy. And then I'm going to spec out one thing for tornadoes. I'm waiting for something with tornadoes because I got something for that too. So I'm gonna have that in there. Like these tornadoes, they come out and they seek people. They just knock people back, so they can't even. It's crazy. That's for another thing. But anyway, that's the druid. I love the druid. Druid is pretty good. So that's the classes. And let's talk about now the story. The story of this game. Ooh.
I'm not used to stories. I'm not used to games like this having, the best story. But I'm enjoying this thoroughly. Like
this story. This is a movie. Yeah. This joint is like a movie. And the crazy part about it is whenever I hear talks about Diablo 4, I don't hear nobody really talking about the story. I'm like, yo, this story is really good. Like. This is something that like would be on like HBO Max or something that would have came out in the movie theater. Like it's a really good story. It's definitely a story of consequences and choices, definitely, because there's a lot of things that's going on, with the characters, and it's crazy because as I'm playing the game, I'm finding myself being connected and attached to certain people, but it's like you can't be too attached to them because this is Diablo.
So the story is a lot better than I expected. It's a fantastic story, and I'm really enjoying it. I know you ended the story, and it is funny because I don't want to say any spoilers, but I figured one thing was going to happen to one character, and then something happened to that character. But it's I think it's because of the voice acting that the story comes off so well, because the voice acting is really good. There's only been a couple of times where it's been a little bit off, but I thoroughly enjoy the story.
Now, the story, just to piggyback on that, story is definitely off the chain. Probably one of the best stories I've enjoyed on a video game in a long time. And again, like I said, got attached to these characters, and you never know. Like around the corner, I don't even know what they're going to do with the DLC, because I'm like, what is that about? Because I'm not spoiling nothing. We didn't get to the end yet. I'm just not saying, like, it's wild, bro. But the story, I don't hear a lot of people talk about it or praise it enough for how good the story really is, and it's dark. It's dark. Man, is it dark, okay? But again, this is, the world that you live in, and, the one thing I've always tell people when they ask, well, how can you play a game like this that's about this and about that? You are the hero. You're fighting the evil. You're not the evil. You fight the evil. You know what I'm saying? That's the whole point of the Diablo game, because certain people got a misconception that that you're the monster. Like, you're not a monster. You're the character that's fighting against trying to save this place. And it's not Earth. It's called Sanctuary. It's a whole nother realm where humans live at that were created to be in this area, in this place. So it's not the same as being on Earth and all other stuff. But other than that, the story, oh man, off the chain. So you haven't played it already, go check it out. Go check out the hype. Go check out Diablo 4, man. We're about to get into that later. We're about to jump on and play on that later. Yeah. All right. So again, 5 out of 5 slices for us, right? I would say 5.
I feel like every game that we reviewed so far has been 5 out of 5. So we got to review something bad.
We only play the best, though. That's what's up.
We got to play something bad eventually.
Leeboy, the king of games, self-proclaimed. We'll catch you guys next time here on Multi-Tap.